The Period Place Podcast.
Shark Week. Riding the cotton pony. Yeah. I have salsa in my taco.
Yes. Rag Week. Oh,
Rag Week.
Oh, that's bloody hell.
Bloody hell. Bloody hell, Harry.
The Period Place Podcast.
Thanks to our mates at You by Kotex.
All right, kia ora. Welcome to episode 7. We're getting to the end of our little journey, and this episode here is periods and people in Aotearoa. So basically today we're going to go through and talk to a bunch of wahine that's sort of around New Zealand that are all in different kind of spaces, whatever it may be. These people include Luce. She is from Shit You Should Care About, which is an amazing Instagram blog, just media powerhouse.
Growing.
I don't even know how to describe it, but basically if you need to know anything about anything that's happening around the world,
that you should care about.
Anything you should care about is on Shit You Should Care About. So
Absolutely.
we're going to be talking to Luce. We also have Megan Anir. She's a breakfast announcer from The Edge, a little colleague of mine actually. We make our coffees in the morning together.
Oh, cute.
She's on the breakfast show with Dom, Meg and Randall, so that's awesome. We're going to have her. As well as that, we've got Linda Vagana, who is a former Silver Fern, and she's also a GM at Duffy Books and Homes these days. But we can kind of talk about like periods in the space of like being an athlete and all that kind of stuff.
Back in her old life when she represented the country.
So we've got a real range of people today.
I'm excited about it.
It's like a little
I'm always
pick a mix
excited
lolly
about
bag, you know?
It is.
You hear that? We got range. We got layers. We're doing it all, okay? So today, periods and people and Aotearoa. So let's get into it.
Hey, it's Danika here. Just before we start the podcast, You by Kotex believes a period should never hold you back, which is why, as well as keeping you covered and stress-free during your period, they're pumped to support us in smashing stigma and starting positive conversations to support people with periods. They also love the Period Place podcast and want you to know that you can catch replays along with more info on them and their products at You by Kotex, AUNZ, on Facebook, Instagram, or on their website. Thanks for the support, team. All right, back to the podcast.
All right, we've got another very special guest in here with us, myself and Danny, Linda Vagana. Do you want to just introduce yourself? Yeah, welcome, kia ora, and just introduce yourself, what you do, your background, and just what you're all about.
How much time have you got? Goodness, I'm
All
a lot
day,
older
sis.
than you guys. Okay, so yeah, Linda Vagana. I am New Zealand born, Samoan. So both my parents are Samoan. I grew up in West Auckland, but lived for about 3 years in Dunedin, went to Otago Girls there, then came up to Auckland in my final year at college and went to my first co-ed school.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was really exciting. Got to see some boys.
Life-changing.
My mum had sent me to Catholic schools right through, from primary through to high school. And then my final year, I think she trusted me. Probably she didn't trust herself, so hence why she sent me to Catholic schools. But it was cool. And you know, I'm now working in. I guess my whole life has been in the work of service, being my mum and dad as ministers for about 30 plus years. And found myself always working with young people. And so with my job now, Duffy Books and Homes, I got the opportunity to really inspire kids all around the world, really, but particularly in New Zealand, around the importance of literacy and just, you know, spreading the word that reading's cool. And it leads to, you know, a key that opens the door to success, really. And then, of course, you know, I played a bit of netball here and there.
I was going to
Throw
say,
a ball
when are you going to
around.
throw in the ex-athlete?
Just a tad bit of netball here and there, representing New Zealand, just about crying every time we sang the national anthem. Did that for about 10 years and loved it, and then didn't realise just how amazing it was to also represent the country and birth of my parents, I should say. So I managed to play my final year of ever playing before my whole body broke for Samoa, and absolutely loved it. I think my parents really showed, you know, engaged with my whole playing netball when I represented Samoa.
I bet.
More than New Zealand.
Yeah.
So, but I knew that there was huge support there. You know, I knew I was standing on shoulders of not only my family, but country, villages, and everyone that claimed I was part of their family.
Oh, yeah,
That's my cousin.
That's my cousin. Shots us. Yeah. So, you know, I really enjoyed that time with netball, and mum and dad were pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. They were supportive.
Yep. Just supportive in a different way. Like you said, that when we caught up a couple of weeks ago and you were mentioning how, you know, you always had people in your home, you always had different girls coming over from Samoa and staying with you in your whānau. That's just, you know, open door policy.
Yeah, I think these days it probably would be called overcrowded. But yeah, any time in the day, or any time in a month or in a year, we would always have about, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 people coming into the house.
Wow.
Girls all sleeping in the house, the boys all laid up in the garage.
That makes me think about when you talk about the privacy lacking from when you were younger. What was it like getting your period for the first time in a house where there wasn't a lot of privacy? Was it okay because everybody was?
It was okay, actually. Yep. I was really lucky because all the girls were in the house. So I can remember there were always these newspaper wraps in the toilet bin. And I used to think, and mum and some of the girls would go, "Can you find me some toilet paper?" And I go, "What for?" And, there's heaps of toilet paper in there. And they go, no, get some newspaper too. And I'm, "What for?" And I used to find these little wrap packages in the toilet. And it's where they used to wrap up, when they throw it away. They used to wrap it in there because it was just not cool when you had one toilet for a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And to leave things like that lying in the bin for boys, for all the boys and the men, that's just disrespectful. And so when I did get my period, it was really funny. I got it at school. I knew what was happening, lucky. And I came home and I remember sitting in the lounge going, "Dad, I think I got my period." And he said to me, and I was really lucky I could share that with my dad, because I know for a lot of girls and a lot of my cousins, nieces, friends, it's just nothing that they would share with their dad. But I think I was very fortunate. I don't know why I was able to share with Dad. Dad was just kind of cool like that. And he said, "Yeah, wait till your mum comes."
So he was open to talking about it, but
and he was. But I knew where the drawer was that all the girls used. So I just went there, got what I needed. Mum got home. I think I was in bed from work, and she said, "Are you all right? I heard you got your period."
So it was that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So, but I know it's traumatic for a lot of girls because I've had all my nieces, who, one particular family who have had such different experiences.
So
it's scary.
You were saying that when you got it, you knew what was going down. You knew what was happening at school when you got your period. Is that because you had an open conversation with your parents about it, or is it just something you learned from external?
Yeah. I remember playing on the playground, and there were a few palangi friends there, and I walked up and they were all whispering about something. I said, "What are you guys talking about?" And they said something about, we're all going to bleed at some stage. And I went, "What are you talking about?" And I can remember being really scared. "What do you mean I'm going to bleed from down there?"
Yeah.
And we never talked about it again. And then lucky we had a little education session. I mean, this was back in the early 80s. Mm-hmm. And
education at school?
Yeah, at school. And I reckon if I hadn't been in that session, because it was only a little 1 hour session, and had an educational nurse come in, show, well, she basically had all these diagrams. It reminded me of Grease.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Grease. Have you watched Grease?
Oh, please.
How many times have I seen Grease, right?
I know you wanted to be Sandy.
Sandy. I think I sing on every episode now. Yeah.
But I think it was that educational piece that pretty much made things a little bit more comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't want you to feel like you're speaking on behalf of the Pacifica community or even just Samoan community. But do you feel like it is a little bit tapu talking about a period or even having a period?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that comes with it being tapu in society.
Yeah.
It's not talked about in pop culture. So, you kind of, which is really awful when you think about it, because it's sort of seen as, it has negative connotations, doesn't it, in society in general.
Yeah.
But I guess in the Pacific sense, it is tapu because it's something that happens to a woman's body. And anything that happens to anybody's body, it's really hard to talk about. And so you say it's sacred.
Yeah.
And it's an incident. That's how most of them would probably see it.
Wow.
That happens to your body because it's it's part of reproduction, I guess. And it's always really hard to talk about those kind of things. It's like when you're sitting in the lounge with your ainga, with your older siblings or cousins and aunties, and a little bit of kissing comes on TV or a peck on the cheek, and then everyone goes, "Do you want a cup of water? Anyone want to go put the kettle on?"
Yeah.
So what was it like then, being literally at the top of your game and travelling around the world and having your period, we'll get into what it's like to physically play sports with your period, but I want to know, traveling around the world, being exposed to all these different foods and cultures and people and having this experience that you're not really supposed to share with people. How did that work in with your teammates who have different cultures, your coaches, your wider staff, everybody, the feelings around what you were going through?
Do you know, I had a conversation on the radio yesterday just about how it felt being, in an environment with a Christian background, and I kind of feel like it was similar in the sense that you had this belief that only a group of you sort of naturally were drawn to your Pacific sisters, because you had a similar background. Yep. You talked to and laughed about the same things. Yep. And then for the period, we also had these funky words like, we would call a pad a surfboard. And most of the girls only used the surfboards. We didn't use the tampons because it was almost deemed, I guess, back then in our culture, it was putting something like that in your vagina was not quite the right time for you to experience that. So I guess the pad was probably the most acceptable of things that you could use when you got your period. So we would always have supplies in our suitcases when we would travel around, and we had all sorts of words, all sorts of little words that we would nicknames for pads and sanitary pads. And Can you remember any? Well, surfboard was one of them.
Yeah, I like that, surfboard.
I like that, yeah. That's what it bloody feels like.
What was it like just being an athlete with a period? And because obviously you're a women's sports team, all of you are experiencing the same stuff. Does it affect your performance in any way?
I think we were lucky having female coaches. So it was a lot more understandable to say, I'm just not feeling good this month. Yeah. And that would give you the biggest clue that what was happening in your body.
Yeah.
And I think because it was a women's team, people, it was sort of, I think it was sort of the kind of situation that if it was happening to you, everyone just kind of got it. Yeah. I can't go swimming. You just kind of understood. Yep. There was like this sort of silent, it was a hidden kind of topic. You just didn't mention it. You just had to say the little language.
And it was like that for the Pākehā players as well?
Yeah, it was. It was. And I was quite surprised that there were some Palangi players that were, couldn't swim too, just because they had their period.
Yeah.
And I think that made us as Pacific girls a lot more comfortable too.
You didn't feel so other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be really hard if we had a male coach? So you sometimes wonder about some of those sporting situations where you do have a male coach, how some of our young girls or athletes in general would approach that subject.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard.
I know in like Te Ao Māori, there's this kind of whole thing that having a period used to be quite an empowering thing for women, and then it wasn't till sort of colonisation where these ideas came in where it was kind of surrounded by shame. Do you think it's similar in Samoan culture that maybe, and I suppose religion does have something to play with your upbringing and your experience with periods, but do you think, was it ever something that was kind of celebrated in Samoan culture?
Probably not so much celebrated. I think it was an acceptance that you were becoming a woman.
Yeah.
Once the girls had their period, you sort of acknowledge that they were moving from being a young girl to a woman. And the conversations, though, would still be pretty tough. It's not something that you would talk about. So I think for a Pacifica woman to go through their period, the conversations wouldn't be happening because just the way that naturally world doesn't talk about it. Yeah. And that, I guess, filters down to us being Pacific and the Western world, what it's placed on it.
Yeah.
But from a Christian background, we understand what that means. Everyone, so that you understand from, I guess, Sunday school that this is what happens to you as you transform from being a girl to a woman. and also being a Christian, you understand that that's what's happened. You know, everyone talks about Adam and Eve, and this is what happened because Eve ate the apple. But actually, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Apples are good.
Yeah.
She was probably hungry.
You're so funny. I probably would have eaten the apple too. And the mango
either that or
and
the
every other
snake.
fruit that was in there.
Maybe she's a vegetarian. Maybe she's a vegan. She's like, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
Spitfire the snake? It's not going to work.
If she was a vegan, then she definitely wasn't Samoan.
So coming back to being a sports player in this term, surfboard. So can you give us can you explain a situation so that we can all visualise what it's like to be at the top of your game with your period? Because I can't imagine, an All Black sitting here talking about having his period and running around on the field with a surfboard. We'll be hopefully talking to some female rugby players in the next couple of seasons. But you know, netball is a particularly there's a lot of running going on up and down. There's a lot of chances for the surfboards to slip up and down. So have you got any stories about being on the court?
You know, you just remind me of when someone does get their period and while we're touring or in camp, then everybody gets their period.
Oh my gosh, like because everyone's in cycle.
Yeah.
Everyone syncs up?
Yeah.
Ding,
It's
ding, ding,
just
ding, ding, ding.
like you can just see it's like dominoes. Everyone just goes down one by one with their period. And the poor coaching team are just like, oh my gosh. But, you know, I reckon I think it doesn't matter what time of the year we're at in tour or traveling. You're always going to, that's just what's going to happen. It's, you know,
You got a
every
squad
month.
of 30
It happens
people.
monthly. So come on, it's going to happen at some stage. But yeah, I can remember so many moments where I'll be sitting on the sideline and, you know, our Pacifica girls will be, I remember one moment where someone was playing and she looked at me and said, my surfboard is halfway up my back.
Oh no. Oh.
And there was always a bag. It was probably usually me that would have the bag that with all the, you know.
You were the auntie
emergency.
box. Yeah.
Emergency things. And yeah, just trying to get that out ready for quarter time so that she could run to the bathroom and change and come back. I don't think anyone else knew about it except us.
Yeah.
And, you know, often during training, you'd find that someone's disappeared from training, and when they walk back, you just see this look on their face, and there's this sort of invisible kind of thread flowing through all of us. So we just kind of do the eyebrow or the nod.
I know, sister. I gotcha.
Or, you know, holding the tummy, coming back from the bathroom, and you just kind of know, it's again that invisible sort of thread between all of us girls. You just know that she's got her period.
Yeah. Oh, poor thing.
Hey, Linda, thank you so much for coming through. I think it was like I say this to every guest. Like I feel like everyone comes in and talks in their own space, a really important space that doesn't get talked about enough. And for you being a Pacifica woman and being Christian as well, that's something that we, you know, it is especially periods and just like things around like sexual health and stuff in general. I think it is quite tapu in that space. So for you to come on here and talk so openly, we appreciate you very much. And I hope,
Thanks.
just thank you so much for
because
coming
of
through.
you, Tegan. Those questions and Danny. No, thank you.
gonna help.
I'm just glad that you threw the challenge out, and I was able to accept it. So thank you. And
Thank
the conversation was really easy.
It just flowed, baby.
It did, eh?
Oi.
Thanks,
For lack of a
girls.
better word, eh? All right, today we have a very special guest, and I am so excited, and I know you are too, Danny, about
Fizzing.
Luce Blakiston. You are from the Shit You Should Care About, or would you say blog, podcast, like everything. You're
It's
kind of doing it
everything.
all.
Yep.
Just to start us off, do you just want to give us a background on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, well, I'm Lucy, probably known most on the platform as Luce because we don't give last names. It's very casual over there. Shit You Should Care About is an Instagram, a podcast, a website, a Facebook group.
It's a fucking media powerhouse.
It's going to be. We're trying. Look, we're young. We're trying to figure it out. And we just help people give a shit about anything that they want to care about or anything that the moment calls for. So, yeah.
I think it's unreal what you guys are doing because it's like, I've been using it as a resource to sort of consume my media, and I didn't even realize it was some Kiwi girls running it.
Same.
And
I know.
you're 22. Like I'm a couple years older than you, but still, I'm like,
I'm
oh my
11
god,
years
sis,
older than you, girl.
Like you are so just, and I hate using this word because I feel like when, especially like millennials, when we get labelled this word woke, like it's kind of like in a demonized way. But
she is woke.
Sis, you're so woke, and it's amazing. And I just like ka pai tō mahi for everything you're doing with that, and you're just talking about everything. Like there's no sort of boundaries. So what sort of got you into wanting to be that media platform?
Yeah, well, first of all, I run it with my two best mates, Ruby and Liv, who we've grown up, we were 15 when we became friends, and we've always talked about everything. Nothing is off the table.
That's an awesome friendship.
Yep, the best type.
The best type, yeah.
The best type. And so I was at uni and I was writing for a publication that was trying to put a bunch of parameters on what I could say.
Yeah.
And there are some things where it's just like, you shouldn't have parameters. This needs to be said straight.
Yeah.
And so then I kind of quit that job, text Ruby and Liv, should we start something called Shoot You Should Care About? And here we are.
The rest is history.
How long did it take to sort of like shoot off into the abyss? Because now it's like, unreal. How many followers have you got on this platform now?
Well, we've got 1.8 mil on the Instagram, which is
fucking
God.
dope.
Yeah,
which is crazy. I don't know if I can swear, but I just
yeah, you can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's nuts. It took... we started it in 2018. 2019, I was living in South America, and so I think we tapped into that US time zone. Shit started going crazy because there's always shit that you should care about happening in America. And so then we were
And
just...
plenty of shit you shouldn't care about.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know what? Since we're here and we are talking about periods, what was your first period like and your sort of like period experience?
I don't have an exciting one to tell you guys about. Honestly, I was 16. I was a very late bloomer. I had one period and then I didn't get it again for like another year.
Oh, you lucky girl.
Yes. So everyone says that I was really lucky, but it was kind of like...
I guess at 16 you're like...
Yeah, I felt like... Do I need to go to a doctor because I haven't had it? And then none of my friends were really talking about it that much, but I knew they'd all got theirs. And then some of them got them real young at like 14 or even younger, like 10. And so I did feel a bit strange that I hadn't had it. And then my growth spurt never came because I always thought, okay, when my period comes, I'll also hit puberty and get taller and stuff. Never got taller. So yes, it came, it didn't come again for about a year. And then honestly, I'm 22 now. It probably only became regular when I was 21.
Wow.
Like I have never had a regular period, and
What's your cycle length?
28 days I think now.
Right
That's
on
good.
it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
But as soon as my lifestyle changes, if I move somewhere or if I don't know, start exercising a lot more, my period changes with it. And so I find it really hard to track.
So you're really, like your body's really in tune with your emotions and your senses and
if I'm
what's
stressed,
going on.
yeah, no
That's
period.
incredible.
Yeah,
That's
it's
powerful.
Yeah.
I
I
like-
harness it.
Yeah, I love that. So did you, growing up, even though you had the later period, was there a lot of conversation around what periods are for you growing up? Like, did you know exactly what to expect by the time you got to 16 because it was
What to
late?
expect when you're expecting?
Well, I've got 3 brothers, so periods wasn't a thing that we chatted about in my house. And because I didn't get it till I was 16, my mum would always ask me, you got your period yet? And I was like, nah. And then she was like, okay, it'll come, don't worry. I went to an all-girls high school, so it never felt very taboo to talk about it, but you'd still like hide your pads and tampons, you know, if you were going to the bathrooms.
you don't want that crinkle.
Yeah, but that's really weird because like now I'm like, yeah, do you have a does anyone here have a tampon or like a period cup? Well, I probably wouldn't
Or
use
when you're
someone
out,
else's period cup.
once you're over 18, because you don't have a fake ID, once you're out over 18 and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and you're in a cubicle and you're like, hello? Does
Yeah.
anyone have a tampon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Girls
then
always
it's
come through.
fine.
Girls always come through.
Come
do.
through. Or someone
I-
will be like, hang on, not with me, but it's back in my purse.
Yeah.
That whole, just like weirdly going to the toilet and trying to like hide that you've got your period. Like today for me at work, like I've got my period today, and Loki was like doing the like sneak in the pocket once, and then I was like, oh fuck it, and then I just like grabbed my whole bag of liners and just like walked right through.
love that.
You're co-host of a period podcast.
I know,
You
I
gotta
know.
represent.
But you know, when you're surrounded just by like men all day, right?
And you
like,
got pretty blokey dudes on mine.
oh, they're getting better. We're breaking down those walls, and they are. To be fair, of a lot of the guys I could be working with are like absolute
Yeah.
saints, and I'll just go, well, you know, I've got my period, and they're like, okay.
And it's the only way it's going to change.
You know what
if
I mean?
we just be really proud and open and loud about it.
Loud and proud. Hashtag loud and proud.
So would you say you got most of your information period-wise probably from school since you grew up with brothers?
Yeah, definitely got it most from school, or really kind of problematically I got it through Dolly magazine or like Girlfriend magazine.
The little secret section?
Yes. Oh my God, sealed for your privacy.
Yeah.
Heart.
So on Shit You Should Care About, you guys are obviously talking about everything and anything. Have you, is there a lot of conversation you have directed around having your periods and even issues like period poverty as well?
Yeah, one of our first pieces, because we have obviously a website as well, was pitched to me by one of my friends at uni that said the only thing I want to write about is period poverty in New Zealand. And I was like, well, we're starting a platform, come and write about it for us. And now we're having conversations all the time about like pink tax and how everything's so much more expensive when it's womanified and
Razors and glasses and
And we will talk, honestly, we will talk about anything, and most of our content comes from other people, and so it's not even about if I want to talk about it on the platform, which we will if we want to, but it's mostly about the community. If you give a shit about period poverty, come to us and we'll publish it.
Is that how a lot of your content comes? Like people just go, hey, I want to talk about this, because I love how you guys post some of those threads. Like I've seen some of them that just about like bad sex or something, and it's like someone's personal story. I think it's like really powerful stuff.
And the other pieces that get the most reads is anything personal. And so we have a Write For Us section. Every day we have heaps of drafts. We get people now to send through drafts because we were going through too many topics. But we have so many people from our community that just wants to write about something they're going through, and it's awesome.
Do you think it would be different if people didn't know it was run by chicks?
Yeah, well, that's a really interesting question, because we've always wanted to have a bigger male audience because obviously we want to apply to all people. We, as a big part of our platform, is not showing our faces, not showing who we are, because we're not influencers. And I think for that reason, we don't get attacks on us personally. So I can't answer that question, but I think people definitely know that there is a feminist slant to pretty much everything we post.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And a lot of men don't like that, particularly men who support Donald Trump. So you kind of bundle all that together.
Some of the comments I see on there, I'm just like, or they'll be like, I don't like this post. And I'm like, then don't fucking look at it.
Yeah.
When did I ask?
I always comment back just when. Like,
That's my favourite.
I know.
Because, you shouldn't have to explain, we shouldn't have to explain ourselves, because if one person somewhere cares about that, it's valid. Just because you don't, just keep scrolling.
Not everything is for you,
I know.
Bob from fucking Timbuktu.
Is there anything you girls, have you got any like goals in sort of the near future? Because I just love that we get this opportunity to talk to all these amazing women or people with periods that are just absolutely kicking ass and doing all these amazing things that, like, above all things, is really empowering for women. But is there anything you guys have got coming up soon, like any projects that like anyone can get kind of excited for? Because I feel like you guys at the bar you've set, you can't win. You're just going to have to keep going and keep growing. Like, what's next?
Well, next for us is we need to start making some money so that we're not just doing all this for free.
Are you doing this for free?
You can't eat lipstick?
Yeah, no. I can't pay my rent with PR packages. And we're not influencers whatsoever, which is the reason. So me and Ruby are kind of in that startup mindset right now. And it's really hard because we've never been taught how to start a business or talk to lawyers or accountants. And it's not just, you can't just get paid for having these followers. Brands also are often scared when it comes to giving a shit or using the language we use, or I don't know, they're not quite at the level that they need to be to work with us. Or
they're not real. They're just too freaked out about their image.
Yeah. And we want to. We really want to. So we're working hard. Everything we do has to be unorthodox though, because
that's the brand.
Yeah. It's the way that shit has to roll with us.
That's what people resonate with. That's why you've got 1.8 million followers. If you were like, hello, today it would be really nice if you cared about what was going on over here.
Yeah.
No one will give a fuck.
I know. Well, that's what we're trying to
people
prove.
Talk already.
We're trying to say, like, you should value us and use us to advertise your stuff, because we have people that actually really do care, and you can see it here. But I guess, it'll take the right type of brands with a really good message. And often they're startups just like us that don't have any money for marketing. Totally. So it's just a learning curve. It's really fun. We really do want to move away, not away from social media, but we'd love, like an app or a community space where we didn't have to be under Mark Zuckerberg's rules, to be honest, or be censored by the man.
Yeah.
So you can put your own little titties on there.
Yeah, well, just so that we can do whatever we want without violating community guidelines. Which
You're so right. I hope that one day you guys get like a platform where you actually can just run free and just go buck wild, because you're so right. And I have this, there's a real weird thing about like freedom of speech. Like, shit. Everyone can talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about, but no, but you might offend that person.
Yeah.
No, but like that's actually not hate speech. That's actually like freedom of speech. And you're like, no, where's the line? So it's so cool. I just love that you guys are just like constantly pushing the boundary. Yeah.
I have a story that I just want to quickly tell because it's about periods.
Go.
And I don't know where you can even put this, but I just thought of it. I had my period last month, and my little brother Ben walked through to the lounge at night after I'd been to the bathroom, obviously, that day, and he like walked through and he looked real shy. And I was like, "What's up, Ben?" And he was like, "Can you please clean the period off the toilet seat?" And I was like,
Clean the
honestly,
period?
Yeah, clean the period off the toilet seat. And I was like, "Oh, like you can do it." He was like, "No, I can't." And I was like, actually, it's really good that you saw that. You didn't just get embarrassed. You came through and you asked me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of normalizing it for you. But I just thought it was so funny because he looked so embarrassed.
He was mortified.
He was like, holy shit, I can't go to the toilet because there's a bit of...
There's some period.
Period
I love
on
how
there.
it's not just blood. It's when you get the period off.
And it was only a tiny little bit. I went through there and I was like, to be honest, Ben, fair enough. Like, that's my mess to clean up.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But
If you had gone in after him and there was a skid in there, you would have been like, squeeze me.
You know what? I just might have swallowed my pride and just got just cleaned it myself. Just be like, I don't want to come out and be like, oi, you just skid on the toilet.
I could have turned it into a real feminist moment for him, but look,
How old is
he was
he?
brave.
Wait.
He is 17.
Grab his head. Look at it.
Yeah. He's 17, so he needs to be seeing that shit.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Well, thanks for being here and yarning and being awesome, and keep fucking kicking ass and giving a shit.
Yeah, total with that, like 100%. I just like I said earlier in the podcast, like ka pai tō mahi, you guys are unreal. Like you yourself, Lucy, but all of you that are running shit you should care about. I think that's the kind of media platform we need to be pushing, especially for our young people that are trying to learn about everything around the world. So like, fuck yes, sis,
Well,
go
thanks
you.
for having me. It's been really fun.
I'm excited to see where you take it and where it goes. I know it's going to be awesome.
We hope so. We're working on it.
Yeah.
And our very last guest we have on this episode, Periods and People in Aotearoa, is a very special wahine. We have Meg Mansell.
Hi.
I almost called you
Hi.
Meganeer.
Yeah, I'm still not used to it, to be fair.
Yeah, I
It is
bet.
a weird thing to suddenly have a new identity. But thank
New
you.
last name,
Yeah.
all good. So we basically just wanted to talk to anyone from all sorts of walks of life. So Meg, do you just want to give a rundown on who you are, what you do, what you're about,
Okay.
all that kind of shit?
I'm Meg. I work in radio. I work
Hello,
on the
Meg.
Edge. Hello. I work on the Edge breakfast show. I am married, 30, and what am I about? That's a hard
You're about
one.
to have the best decade of your life, babe.
Really?
Holy shit. I'm turning 34 and soon. New Year's Eve. I don't know. Days,
There's
weeks.
10 years between us, sis.
As soon as I turned 30, it felt like my whole body just shifted. It had a shift.
Same.
And I know that's probably in my own head and like a placebo effect, but I swear like chin hairs started coming like the day after I turned 30, grey hairs, like body changes.
Something
and I was
with
like,
your mind. You're probably just like, fuck this. My 20s are over. I'm ready to just settle in and enjoy myself, not criticize myself.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say I'm 24 and I've been having chin hair since I was 20. So
You're 30 on the inside.
you
I
get
think
more.
it's an ethnicity thing because my mum swears that being Māori, we have no hair anywhere else, but we get hair in random places.
Do you not get like because I shave my arms?
People ask if I shave my arms.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. It's just really fair. But I get chin hairs, I get mustache hairs.
Yeah, me too.
I get random hairs just
I think
everywhere.
that's dark. Like I've got Spanish heritage, and definitely looking at photos of my grandparents, my grandmother definitely has a nice little darker top lip than
top lip, hey.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, the chin, and I remember like because I like shave my mustache because I'm like I can't let it grow out enough to get it waxed, which is ridiculous because but honestly it's a nightmare. Like it's proper dark, and so then I have to plait the chins out. But I used to like whisper to the beauty therapist of like, oh chin and lip, if you could just add that on. Like I'm gonna go in and then get my armpits, and I'm like, oh yeah, you want your lip done? I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, just
Yes, please. Yes, please.
It's just hair.
Yeah, I know, isn't it stupid?
No, but I mean, like, if you want it removed, fine, great.
Yeah.
Get all to you, but you should just be able to call up and be like, "Chur, what's up? I've got some hairs that need plucking. Get them out,
Chin
girl."
and lip.
Or how about the ones when you're at the wax lady and you're getting other stuff done and she goes, do you want me to do your mustache? And you're like, oh,
Do I
know it was an issue.
I didn't know I had one. I didn't know you could see it.
So, because we're talking about periods, do you want to just give us a rundown on maybe just your experience with your own period, whether that's like from the beginning or now? Just like, have you had a positive experience? Have you had a lot of education around it?
How does the chin hair link into the uterus?
I kind of wish I remember my first one. I don't remember having a day where I woke up and I got it. I remember when I was just starting to get it, and my mum pulled me aside and said that my nana, after I stayed the weekend at her house, found some like discharge. And my auntie's at like, I think 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And I found that super embarrassing. As you can imagine, I'm just like an 11, 12-year-old. I think I'm becoming like a woman, which I'm definitely not. But then like hearing my mum know that my nana saw discharge, I was like,
I feel like discharge is a word that makes
that
like
word.
my tummy still go, Whereas like
discharge.
periods, menstruation, like
Yeah.
even period poo, I'm
Yeah.
down to talk about. But discharge.
It's hard, right? And then you there's like different stages of discharge, and you're like, the thought of it is disgusting to me. You know, like, and getting past that.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, like I haven't talked to her about it. Oh my God, I'm even nervous talking about it because I couldn't sleep last night thinking, will I talk to you girls about this? And I've been told not to very strongly by some people because of my job. But I am trying for kids at the moment. And I'm going to start crying, which is so stupid. It's only because my hormones are going mental.
not stupid.
And it's very much so like this weird taboo thing you don't talk about, especially in our careers, Tegan, because contracts.
Yeah.
I signing a contract, I've been told don't talk about trying for kids because suddenly you lose your power and they'll not want to sign you again because you're going to be off having a baby. Which is weird in itself because I'm like, I don't even know if I can. So like you're already worried about me like not being around. And that's what I mean about discharges. Suddenly I'm like staring at mine to see like ovulation discharge and like suddenly my period is like the worst thing I could ever experience. Whereas I used to have like all my life I've had relief of getting my period. I would get it and be like,
I'm not pregnant.
Live another day, not being a mum.
Yes.
Like I have got my period. And then I'd be like, oh God, I've got my period like 3 minutes later. But as soon as I saw it,
But it was
felt
3 minutes of bliss.
Yeah, I would feel this instant relief of like, oh, thank God. And I'd like now realizing how hard it actually is to get pregnant. It's a funny experience. Now it's like seeing my period as a really, really like bad experience. Seeing it as like, gosh, this is, you just sit there and think as a woman, it's so horrible to have to process it itself. And my husband has to process it as well. But I have to sit with it and be in the pain of it and have to, it's like a visual thing for me that I'm like, it didn't happen again.
It took me and my husband a couple of years to get pregnant with our first, and they did a couple of little tests and they were like, oh, we think you've got polycystic ovaries and we think you've got endo, and I was by myself in the appointment.
No.
And I just came out and I was like, holy fuck, like I'm a failure as a woman. As a woman, I'm meant to...
Should be the easiest thing to do, right?
Like,
It's the most
forget
natural
about
thing.
culturally, like,
Yeah.
I'm meant to be in the kitchen, I'm meant to do all these things. Like, it was like, as a biological thing, I identify as a woman, I want to have babies, I can't do it, I suck. I absolutely suck. And my husband got tested, and of course his sperm were just like off the charts perfect. And so it was like, great, just another nail in the coffin of, no, it's 100% you. You suck.
And we get brought up to think how easy it is to get pregnant. I went to an all-girls Catholic school, and so in Lower Hutt.
Yeah.
And so
So
it
if a
was,
boy looks at you,
you're exactly right. It was like drummed into me that you sit in a toilet seat or go to the swimming pool and you're getting pregnant.
sperm comes up inside.
So we were terrified. Like my whole life I was terrified, and then it just beats into that as well. And at the moment, before we started talking, behind the scenes, Heidi, who works on this podcast, was saying like I can walk into this room and get my period, and I was thinking, God, I pray I get mine because at the moment I'm skipping them, but I'm not pregnant. So like it's not coming.
Yeah.
And it's due to stress apparently, which is, oh my God, the most annoying thing in the world. Just relax
It's
and it will happen.
impossible.
Just relax and it will happen. I'm like, I can't not relax because I'm now not getting my period, but it's not from being pregnant. It's from being stressed. So now I'm like desperate. It's funny how your whole life every month revolves around this one thing that my husband, as much as he tries to understand it, he can't.
Never
just
will
can't.
quite get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only got my period like 3 or 4 times a year, so my hit rate was even less. With my polycystic ovaries, my average cycle was between 40 and 60 days. So, and we didn't even know. I was like peeing on ovulation sticks as well and trying to figure out and like measuring your undies with the, how eggy is this? How white
That's what I mean,
this?
discharge. I'm like suddenly in discharge queen. Like I know all about it.
And it was just damn near impossible. And the only thing for us that worked, we gave up. We 100% gave up. We were like, okay, we're not going to try anymore. We're going into the Fertility Associates. We were looking at doing a renovation in our backyard. My husband really wanted to get a pizza oven. And then when I was like, we have to buy a baby, he was like, fuck, I'm going to lose my dream pizza oven. And I was like, but you'll get a baby.
Priorities. What I find really interesting that you were talking about, Meg, is that whole shift of like how the period was such a relief and then all of a sudden it's like you don't want to see it. Because I'm obviously still in that stage where I'm like, thank God it's here.
Yeah, right.
Once again,
isn't it funny? Even if you're not having sex, it's like, oh, thank God it's here.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have magically gotten like pregnant somehow. I used to be so irrational with it.
And the whole idea that we think it's so easy to get pregnant. Like my mum, even now, she like if I'm on the pill, even if I've had a boyfriend, she'd be like, "Are you on the pill?" I go, "Yep," and she'd go, "But use condoms as well."
Yeah.
You know, and I'd be like, "Oh, mum, you don't need to. It's fine."
It's not 100%.
It's not 100% because she is like, no, like it can happen. One of my best friends from high school, her and her partner, she just had a baby this year. I call her my little niece, and she was on the pill, and you know,
Right, we hear all
having
these
sex,
stories.
got pregnant and didn't know she was pregnant until she, because she's a police officer, and she was putting her belt on, and she goes, well, this is a little bit tight. Like, why is it getting tight? And it was because she was pregnant. So it's kind of like this whole thing, like,
you can't.
do I need to be overprotective?
Yeah.
And you don't know if you're fertile or not until you're actually
and
trying.
that's what's so hard. It's so hard about that, and it's hearing those stories. I've heard so many of the stories of like my friend just got pregnant in the drop of a hat, or is it accidental? And then so the moment I went off contraception, I was like, I'm pregnant instantly. You know, we did it for the first time, and I remember we finished, and I went and looked in the mirror afterwards. I'm like,
I can feel it.
yeah.
I'm glowing already.
I've done it. And then when my period came, I was like, whoa, what is this? And it's just like a visualization of like loss. And I didn't even know I was really scared to start trying because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. But I also know that it can take a really long time. And then I'm like, I don't want to be 34 and still trying. So I'll try now at 30. And then like even if you're only trying for a little amount of time, you sit there and go, holy crap, this is fucking hard. This is like, what the hell? Why my whole life was I told that I could sit in a toilet seat and get pregnant at the drop of a hat? It's outrageous.
Maybe you need to go find us some of those super sperms.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just never know.
You just never know.
Yeah.
And this old bloody period of mine is like, it feels like it's just playing mental games at the moment where you want to see it and then suddenly I didn't want to see it and now I'm like, okay, you just need to come again because now you're not regular.
Yeah, now you need to flush out.
It's a mess. It's like my whole life is revolving around these 30 days of like day one. It's like, when do I start ovulating? When's my period coming? When's this coming? When's that discharge coming? And
I
then
recommend you turn it into a drinking game. So for like
my mum would love that.
For like light discharge days, that's champagne. For like heavier days, we can do like a gin and tonic. You know.
I know.
So do you think while you're going through on this journey at the moment, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's like, I know that would have been a big thing and I imagine this has been really tough for you. And I kind of think of you because I've always known you as being very like body positive, very, and you've always been quite open about that. Yeah. Is it quite hard going through all this about your body and having to kind of hold it in a little bit when you have always been so open about your body?
Yeah, 100%. And you sit there and you just want to talk to people about it because I feel like I'll make more sense where my headspace is at right now if you understand like what's going on and processing in me. But yeah, you can't, and I don't know if it's all careers because all I've ever known is radio.
We almost have this like expiry date that kind of sits over our heads.
And there's always somebody who wants your name.
Always somebody who wants to take your seat as much, and they can be your friends and as much as, and you want them to be able to grow too, but you're like, there's only limited seats. And that's my seat right now. And if I'm going to be disappearing for 6 months, I know how great that person is because I support them and love them, and I like, women in radio are amazing. And then you sit there and go, oh shit, they're really good. And if I'm going to be gone for 6 months, it's really scary. But I'm really lucky. I've got a great set of followers on my Instagram page who are super open and supportive as well, which can be really overwhelming because they're so nice to me. And then sometimes you have this like weird little syndrome that you sit there and go, I don't know why you're so nice to me. I'm not actually that great a person. And if only you knew that I'm like actually not as great as you put me up on this pedestal, then maybe you wouldn't like me. Even though I don't know what I'm talking about in my head when I'm saying that. I haven't murdered anyone or anything. Like there's
You're
no
not
secrets.
perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. Tegan's
Exactly.
not perfect. But
you haven't
there's
seen me when I come in at 5 when I'm an absolute Grinch to the boys. Like,
exactly.
You know?
Right.
But there's a lot of great things about you, and that's what those people are connecting with. And they're connecting because you create a space there that's safe for them, and they see a part of themselves in you. And you're not somebody who's like, look, starve yourself or have this powder or do this crap and then you can be happy. You're saying be who you are and you can be happy. And there's not enough of those spaces in the world or on the internet or in Aotearoa.
I opened up about trying a menstrual cup a few months ago for the first time, and I realised then that's why what you guys are doing is so important, because the amount of people that wanted to talk to me about their experiences, I sat there and go, oh, people are not talking about this enough. No. I couldn't believe the floodgates, you know, again, like mind the pun, that I'd opened. I sat there and went, whoa, like I don't know that people wanted to do it. I had friends even hit me up and say, hey, can you tell me about that menstrual cup? And I was like, you guys can talk to me whenever you want, and we're close, but it's like nobody talks about it.
I find that even when I've just like plugged our podcast on my show at My FM, the people who are texting through, because half the numbers are saved, it's actually guys. Yeah. Guys texting in, and because they have daughters or sisters and they actually want to know more, but they are too scared to open the conversation because they're like, oh, well, you know, that's not my truth, it's not my experience.
Like, how hot is it when a guy is actually interested in like finding out about periods? Like, suddenly 10 times hotter if you are like sitting there going, actually, I want to learn about this respectfully and how can I help?
Yeah. Like, okay, say less.
That
was, I love how in sort of our industry, though, I feel like us females, we kind of like secretly have kind of banded together. Like one of my colleague and friends, I won't name her, but she sort of told me at the beginning of my sort of career, being like, she would tell me about how when she first got pregnant, there was one of her children that she got pregnant with. She actually hid her pregnancy up until her contract signing because she didn't want to not get re-signed. Because that's how, and I'm not saying that's the nature of the industry now, but it has been the nature of the industry in the past 100%. And so I had this like freak in my head, oh my God, what if I accidentally got pregnant and then they just cut me? Yeah. And I'm like only at the beginning of my career, and it's a really real fear. And I've ended up having open discussions with my colleagues about it, and they have been like, we promise you that will not happen, you know, male colleagues. And I'm like,
sucks.
Good. And because
it should be the happiest time in your life, right? In theory, if that's what you want to do with your life and you choose to have children, you should be super excited to tell people.
And your workplace should be empowering you because they've all come out of vaginas too.
Yeah, exactly. It's really bizarre, and it's not spoken of. It's not like somebody has sat me down and said, Megan, you can't get pregnant. Nobody has done that to me.
You just know it's
You just hear the stories, and that same friend even told me actually the other day, she says, you know, when I had my first kid, I got pregnant and I found out I was pregnant like just as she had got this new radio job. So she didn't say like much, finally announced that she was pregnant and only took 4 weeks off because she was too scared.
4 weeks?
Yeah, because she was too scared that someone would come in, and there was a lot of sort of, you know, female broadcasters around her that were, you know, hot and young and fresh, and so she was like, oh my God,
the thing is, I can't lose my spot. There's only so many spots for females. It's like, you know, you're on a breakfast show with both of you on breakfast shows with two males, and it's like, well, the chick quota is full because there's one of them in the room.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, my I'm working with two male colleagues. They've basically worked out when I am regular, when my period comes as well, and they are super respectful, but it's so funny. It still gets me whenever somebody goes, oh, I know why you're being sensitive here. Oh, I know. You're a bit more emotional than usual, and they mean well.
But it's the way it's framed.
It is, and then afterwards, like maybe a few days later, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was why I was being emotional. Yeah. But at the time, don't you dare blame my period.
You're like, excuse me.
No,
it could be the reason why, but maybe you're just acting up and you need to shush.
Exactly.
That's what you mean. Sometimes they're like Tegan. They'll take the piss out of me. They're like, oh, Tegan, is it that time? I'm like, no, it's not.
And then you sit there going, it is. But
I'm just stepping outside of the box that you expect me to sit in because I'm a woman and I'm sharing something. And you know what? Maybe the reason that we share more and we're more emotional when we're on our periods is because we don't feel like we have to sit in that fucking box because we're sick of it all the time. And we feel like we have the power coursing through us from all the hormones to say, I am feeling this today.
Yeah, do you, because I'm a huge empath. I'm like naturally more sensitive, more emotional than most people, than people I know. And
I cried on Instagram.
I
cried listening to Taylor Swift's new album last night.
Stop it, I cried 3 times this
Marjorie?
morning. Yeah, Marjorie, I did. And I was doing my makeup because I knew this was getting filmed, and I was like, and I was like looking down, trying to let the tears like come straight in my eyes. And I thought, like, I am an emotional person, but around that time of the month, it's like the week before for me, I almost feel out of control of my own body. And that can be really frustrating for me because I'm sitting there going, I shouldn't be crying 3 times over a Taylor Swift song, or the Taylor Swift album, even though it's a great album. Oh my God.
I know what you mean.
It's an amazing album. But I feel really angry at my body sometimes. I'm sick of the hormones. I'm sick of snapping at people. I'm sick of crying over everything at the drop of a hat. I want to feel more in control,
and especially
I just can't.
As like you're a power woman, you're a career woman, you're out there, you're kicking ass, you're representing other women and people in places, on social media when you do brand work. And so to be such I want to get shit done, this is my world, I live it the way I want to have something come in and take over your body must feel really...
It's hugely frustrating.
Yeah, it feels,
hugely
it's like unmooring almost, like you're rocking around and you can't get back on the boat.
Yeah, and it's like 1 week where I'm not affected by it. It's like there's the week of the period, and then there's the week before where I'm most emotional, and I think there's the week afterwards I'd be like just recovering, and then suddenly it starts up again, and it's like that's for the rest of my life until it goes away. And it is like I genuinely don't have a bad experience, like a bad relationship with my period, but it's... You don't realize how much of like it controls until you sit down and realize that every single week is something to do with my body changing and hormones coursing up again or going down again. And I've only learned that from since realizing trying to get pregnant, how I've got an app called Flow, where, a pop-up. My husband also got the app, and he's got all of my periods linked in there as well, not for a bit of like, oh, watch out, but he will read every day, will be like, you'll be feeling more emotional today, or you'll be craving this today. And so he'll go and like
go get the chockies,
he'll be like, right,
That's
okay,
awesome.
Megan's going to be she's going to be enthused today to be able to do things. He's like, okay, cool, let's tackle that. So he'll like follow that, not to the T.
That's great.
But it has made me realize like how much am I not in control? I sit here and think I'm completely in control of my emotions in my life. And then I see this app saying you're going to be craving food today, and I'm like, why do you know me better than me? Like why? And it's and as far as I know, people without periods don't have to deal with that. They kind of can't get their head around what do you mean that your hormones control different days.
It like dictates our whole life, really.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I recommend you go back and listen to our episode Periods in Nutrition because
amazing.
Our guest there, we spoke about with Sarah Widdowson, we spoke about how what you eat, the type of exercise you do on certain days and all that sort of stuff can help level you out.
Yeah.
And it's not about like you have to eat green lettuce every day. It's nothing about that. It's about the types of food, intuitive eating. It's a really great episode on how you can start to take back a little bit of power, and it might not level you out every single day, but hopefully it'll take the peaks and the troughs away so that you can just get through better.
I was brought up in a family where my mum had horrific period pains, and so it was, if anything, probably a bad relationship to be brought up in, if I really think about it, because I just saw the pain that she went through every single month, and how much she would say, oh, I've got my period, and she hated it and hated it and hated it up until menopause, which was a whole, oh my gosh, menopause looks horrific, by the way.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my God. I will never forget, like, just see my mum lie in bed for weeks of like how much she was like going through the pain of it. And so without even thinking about it subconsciously, I've been brought into this world where it's like, it's a bad thing. It's like a hidden thing. It's a shameful thing. I remember seeing my mum's first, a tampon. It was a big applicator one in a drawer. And I remember closing the drawer and felt like I'd just seen her vibrator because like, it just felt like one of those things I was like, I shouldn't be seeing it. I shouldn't be seeing it. And I remember when I used my first tampon, I fainted in the bathroom. I was so like, it was so intrusive to me.
Yeah.
And I was so scared. I didn't know how far to put it up, and the idea of anything, I don't know. I just, I had a big old fainting session, and I fainted with my first time using a menstrual cup as well.
Wow.
Again, which is fun. God, pray for me if I ever do get pregnant and have to go through when I go through, if I'm like so fainting from tampons.
Yeah.
Other
My
hormones
lucky
all
husband,
kicking
though.
for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So holding like the space, being on the platform you're on and sort of holding the space you do, I feel like, let's just say, I hate the word influencer, but maybe in an influencing community, because you do have an influence of some sort.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think, what are the steps, or what do you want to see in the future when it comes to period education? Is there anything you want to like do to try like help out?
I would like it more to be, especially in workplaces where it's not people without periods don't go ooh or gross. I don't want to hear about that. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of people looking grossed out or disgusted or like I've said too much or that's TMI, too much info, and that, I mean, I'm putting it on people without periods to change their ways about that. But I'd like that to be gone in the future.
100%. So how you were saying when you tried a menstrual cup for the first time and you shared your experience quite publicly on your Instagram, and how you had so much response, because like, to be honest, you talking about it on your Instagram was the first time I'd ever seen someone talking about it, and I watched it and I was like, and I swear I asked you about it in the kitchen, and I was like, because I've never used one, still haven't yet, because I don't know anyone who else has. And so like, what was that experience like, knowing that there was so many like unanswered questions?
It was a relief to know that I wasn't alone in wanting to do it, but being too scared to. And that scaredness was more from, one, it was a object I've never had up there before, so I don't even know where to start. Yeah. Two, it looks intimidatingly like large, and I don't know how that's going to be comfortable. And then words like creating a suction, and I was like, whoa, like, what do you mean creating a suction? Breaking the suction, and I was like,
and there's like 35 different folds, and
there's different folds. It's like, it's a whole new story, and there's a whole new process that I'd never gone through. It was so terrifying at the time, because I was trying to fold it, and I'd still fold it. I'm like, that's still way too, like, I don't know how I'm meant to like shove it up with 4 fingers, because a tampon you could just like kind of like squeeze up
but
and push
you've also
up.
had a penis
finger
inside you, right?
I know,
and
but that's what's so outrageous.
A bit wider and larger typically than a menstrual cup.
I know, isn't that so weird that like it's still, even though like there have been much larger objects that have been up there. And I've never been afraid of that, but here I am with this like little silicone cup, and I'm like, I don't know how, and it just brought me right back to my first time ever using a tampon, and that's why I think I went through that. I went and fainted again, and had to sit down, because it just took me right back to the first time of staring at something, thinking, I don't know how this is going to feel, don't know how I'm meant to insert it. I looked at all the little pictures when I was 12, 13, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I just hated it so much, and the idea of it, but I so wanted to be grown up.
Yeah.
And I wanted to use tampons and not pads anymore. And that was my idea, was that you grow up and use tampons, and I wanted to do it. But the things I've learned from using a menstrual cup is if you got long nails, there's going to be some pinching.
Yeah.
Oh, no good.
I've got these like clackers, and getting it. Oh my gosh, getting it out. I have pinched parts of me that I didn't know exist, and like accidentally having to break the suction, and then getting like a bit of like skin trapped in between my fingers. It's awful. But the relief that it's taken off me of not having to go and purchase tampons, because I didn't even realize how internalized this feeling of like every month I have to buy tampons, and have I got enough tampons would have sat in the back of my conscious.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had that on my shoulders. So that felt really freeing using the cup because of that. But there are still definitely moments where I'm like, I don't know, I can't, like, I'm feeling like really like low, my period's here, I've got pain, I just want to put a tampon in or a pad on and just
there's a place and a space for everything, and that's like, I bang on about this so much at the period place, but autonomy and choice is our number one thing. Not every vagina can use a menstrual cup for shapes, for size. They might have an inverted uterus or this, that and the other. And so cups are awesome if you can use them. Disposable pads are awesome if you can use them. Tampons are awesome if you can use them. Reusable undies are awesome if you can use them.
I want to try them.
Yeah. But like, I'm a big user of reusables, but I still always have disposables with me. I have disposables in my wallet. I have backups in the car, because there just might be a time when I need one. It's easier for me to grab a pad out of my handbag and chuck it in my undies than whip on a pair of reusable underwear
100%.
when I'm out and about.
Yeah.
Do you find as well with you always having something on you like a tampon? I found I almost do that for other people with periods.
Yeah, for sure.
I've
I've always got
everywhere.
one. Yeah, just
every
in
single
case
handbag.
I get asked.
Yeah.
When I used to go out before I had children, when I used to go out, I always, my little going out purse always had a pad and tampons in there, whether I had a period or not, because you're always out and you get that 2 o'clock in the toilet, excuse me.
Yeah, this is community, right? And I would hate to have been that person who, if somebody asked me for something, I couldn't say, oh my gosh,
You
to
could
see the power of women or people with periods is to ask for a tampon when you need one. They swarm for you.
Yeah.
You'll find them texting their colleagues. They'll be looking in the car. They'll be tipping their bag upside down in the middle of the food court to try and find you one because of this community of knowing what it's like to not have something on you.
It's 100% like a unity, no other. Honestly, having a period, whether you're a female, not a female, however you identify, you're just part of the club. It's like an unspoken rule. We're all together. We're all mates.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happened. If anyone needs a tampon, you just give me a holler.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. You can walk down the street
Slide
and be
into my
like,
DM and be like, girl,
I need a tampon. We're good. And I think that's something so empowering about having a period is that it's just however you experience it, we've all, got an experience to share together,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We all know what it's like, whether the good, the bad, and out of it. And we're all, even if it isn't as spoken as much as we'd like it to be right now, we all understand with the simple passing of a tampon or lending of a tampon, whether it's you asking your nana for it or your mum or your sister or a friend or somebody, a stranger, a complete stranger. I've never ever had somebody say, no, don't ask me for that.
Hey, Meg, thank you so much for coming to our little studio and talking about periods and all the and sharing something really, really close to you.
So personal.
Which is, so personal. And
we're here, we back you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
100% total core, everything that you're doing. And, you've got a friend in me if you ever needed. Even though, that is not something I'm experiencing right now, we know that shit. We know, we're both in the same space in the sense that we know how fickle our career can be if we want to start doing things as a mother and as a woman. It sucks.
It does suck.
But we need to be the I don't know, maybe the first people to be fuck that. Yeah. I'm going to have a kid and I'm going to come back in 6 months and I'm going to be even a better broadcaster. You know what I mean?
Bring back the power to it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, guys, for giving me the space to talk about it because obviously very personal and obviously that means that you guys are a very safe space for me. Thank you for having me.
We create an island. That's what we do.
We are
Safe
an
island.
We're an island for anybody who needs to come in and talk.
Yeah. And if anyone listening wants to find you, what's your handle? What's the best way to contact?
It's Megan on air and same as what Tegan and Danny have said. You can message me anytime. I get a lot of messages, but I do my absolute best to talk to you. So just flick me a message and we'll chat.
What an amazing sort of place to end this on. And
Perfect.
Just a massive thank you again to Meg for being able to share her story and be the first. This is the first place she got to talk about that and trying to get pregnant.
That
And
makes me feel really proud that we've made this space together, you and I, the production team, that we've made a place. Everybody who's come here said that they feel like they can talk. But for Meg to take it that next step further
was amazing.
Really awesome.
So massive thank you to Meg and massive thank you to Linda Vagana as well. That was so interesting talking to someone as an athlete, what it's like to have a period in that kind of space, because as an athlete you always have to perform. There's no settling down, you've always got to do it. So that was awesome talking to her and Luce from Shit You Should Care About as well. And I'm such a big supporter of her and her page. If you don't already follow Shit You Should Care About, get your shit together and go follow it. It's such an amazing page and there's no bit of information that they will shy away from.
Millions of followers now.
Literally.
They are pushing forward with everything that needs to be talked about. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's a great representation of periods and people in Aotearoa and what we're doing. So episode 7 was actually meant to be our last episode.
This is it, the end of the season.
However,
Or is it?
cheeky surprise. We actually interviewed someone else, a very special friend of ours, Morgan Penn, who is a sexologist, and her kōrero was so amazing.
Too amazing.
And so empowering, and there was just so much in it that we couldn't cut it down. We couldn't bear to do that to
we
you guys.
tried. Well, we didn't try. The production team tried to edit it down, and it was just uneditable.
We've actually got a bonus episode.
Yep.
So it's kind of like an episode 8 or just like a special treat for your Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys.
Shout out.
Morgan Penn will be talking about reconnecting with your body. So it's not just about periods. It's about, your reproductive organs. It's about your pleasure centers.
Yeah.
It's about all of it. And anything that maybe you were a bit shy to talk about, hopefully we've broken down some of that stigma.
Yep, the first 7 episodes, you've taken little steps forward. You've learnt the basics, what to eat, about what it's like to be a non-binary person experiencing a period. We've looked at it through Te Ao Māori.
Yeah.
We've navigated our way, and now we're ready to have a really
honest, candid chat.
Yeah.
And hopefully after all of that, now you're ready for this, because we thought if we put this anywhere in between in that 7, we might scare you off, because it can be pretty jarring, some of these topics, but Morgan Penn is honestly amazing, and she can make anybody feel safe.
She breaks it down
just beautifully.
Yeah.
She's so spiritual. If that's the waka you're paddling, this is the girl for you, and she is incredible. So that's us. Episode 8 will be reconnecting with your body.
Dropping next week on Sunday, and that truly will be the end of season 1 of the Period Place podcast. Thank you all for listening. Thank you to You by Kotex for sponsoring. Thank you, Tegan, for co-hosting.
Oh, thank you, Danny.
Thank you to Blue and Ginge for everything that you've done to bring this to life, and thank you thank you to everybody who has listened, commented, shared.
Yeah. All of it.
All of it. It's been literally life-changing for us here at the Period Place, and for some people who have listened.
Ngā mihi nui, and we'll see you next week.
The Period Place podcast.
Thanks to our mates at You by Kotex.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at The Period Place. Hosted by Danika Revel and Tegan Yaworth. Special aroha to Sarah Mickelson. Produced by Carl Thompson and project managed by Heidi Thompson, both from Blue and Ginge Creative.